Hey guys, it is Steve with Spirit Mechanics, and if you didn't know, you caught me being blind in my own living room. So, letting everybody know that by now we've made the decision to either have or move the classes. If you guys signed up, don't stress. You have a place that's being held for the next time. And if you can't make the next time, that's cool. Your class spot is being held. If you pay for it, you don't have to worry about having to pay again or anything else. You're going to be taken care of whenever it is that you're able to make the classes or we're able to make them work. If we did have the classes or are going to have the classes, hopefully everybody is going to have some fun or did have some fun. I don't know. That's in the future because I'm pre-recording all this. But we're going to do our best to do our best. We're going to take care of you guys as best we can, as we always try to do. Thank you guys again for Terror Night Live. I'm sure it was a blast. And, if it wasn't, I'm sure there was a reason. But we always have fun with you guys. We always have fun reading you guys. And we're always glad that you come out and support us. Thank you again for everything that it is that you do for Spirit Mechanics, whether that is through the online community or through the public community. It's very much appreciated. You guys have always been awesome, and we've tried our best to be awesome back. So, thank you again for everything that it is that you do, and we're going to move into the forecast. So, before we get started with the forecasts themselves have been correct, at least as far as what I've noticed. Now, the explanation has not been. Now, let me explain. The energy has presented with what it presented with up until this point, and the flow states and the reasons why things were going to be different as far as what those meant has been correct. However, it was not the right time for Mercury. Now, I wanted to make sure that that was absolutely clear, that I did fix that mistake and let you guys know that Mercury doesn't go into retrograde actually until July. So we're now in Mercury shadow and haven't been in Mercury retrograde. I just wanted to make sure that that was understood. Now, here's the reason why things have actually been looking the way that they've been looking. And that is, we haven't necessarily been in Mercury shadow yet, but we have been in Neptune's shadow. Neptune goes retrograde very, very shortly. And because of that, there are certain things that shift. So Pluto has been rocking on its own. Trust me, I did actually make sure to check my dates. Pluto has been rocking by itself, as, the flow has dictated. But Neptune is the one that has actually been warping perceptions. Now, Neptune warps perceptions in a different way than Mercury does. And that's the reason why I had to, one, make sure that I explain myself, and two, make sure that these things were corrected. So Mercury blurs the lines between boundaries. That's literally one of the bigger things that it does. There's a couple other things, and we're going to get into that. But Mercury blurs the lines between what is physical and what is spiritual, what is emotional and what is rational, what is a comfort zone and what's a boundary, what is abstract and what is, more solidified in the mundane. Mercury is a planet that warps perceptions because it warps the ability to receive and convey information. So the interpersonal communication that I've been talking about over the last week or so, the last couple forecasts or so, has been because Neptune is making it difficult to understand people's boundaries. Mercury can also cause that particular problem, just in a different way. Mercury deals with what people say and how they act, whereas Neptune just makes it difficult to understand situations that aren't direct. So point A to point B kind of shit. Now that all that's been cleared up, I've outed myself as, as someone who has made an interesting mistake. Because why not be transparent? We're all friends here, and if we're not, we should be. But just wanting to make sure that all that's cleared up. Anyway, so now we're dealing with Pluto, and we're dealing with Neptune shadow. Well, like I said, Neptune shadow is starting to build into the full retrograde, and the big thing here is things are starting to break down as far as boundaries are concerned. Comfort zones are well more apparent right now, and the need to break free of restraints and constraints and issues that we typically have with what it is that other people try to convey or other people do, or what it is that we try to convey and we do, whether that is through expression in art or direct communication, at least what we feel is direct communication, any kind of energy work or religious process or some kind of discipline or offering, whatever it is that helps us connect to others, has been difficult. And the reason why is because not only does Neptune deal a lot with the particular abstracts of life, the particular non-conforming parts of life, but it also helps with dreams. It's a dreaming planet. It helps you figure your shit out through dreams. So if you are somebody that has, over the last little bit, been having not necessarily nightmares, but have been having some very interesting situations pop up in your dreams at night, or if you're someone who typically doesn't, but has been finding themselves daydreaming or zoning out a little bit, or even if you're somebody that's very logical and down to earth, and you're like, well, I wonder if this would happen if I did this, or what about these things? It's been Neptune showing you different avenues, things that are possible, things that could change, things that are needed to change. So you have that kind of influence going on with Pluto being in full retrograde right now. And as we've discussed a lot since Pluto went into retrograde, its particular influence is inner conflict. It's the planet of transmutation, transition, rebirth, and regeneration. The point is that it brings stark and abrupt change. It's forceful change. Essentially the death card in tarot. Whereas Neptune is, at least as far as an alchemist is concerned, well, my particular brand of alchemy is concerned, it's more like the wheel. It's more kind of like mixing the moon and the wheel together. So you're seeing abstract truths and the things that are on the fringes, but you're also seeing the shit that honestly needs to find some kind of fulfillment, closure, resolution. There's something in your life right now that really needs a different approach. The two combined have this particular ability to make things feel uncomfortable when they're honestly not, to uh, help people move through that feeling of a rut, or in certain cases can force people into feeling as though they're in a rut. Growth is hard. Growing hurts. It brings pain in different ways. And these two planets have a tendency to bring about that kind of movement, that need for growth, that yearning for change. But right now, the way things have been flowing and the way things have been working, it's been difficult for some people to actually convey that properly, for people to actually openly communicate, and for things to really make sense to themselves before they actually try to have these conversations. So that's the reason why, the flow has actually been doing what it is that we've been talking about. It's just the reasons why we're there have not been what has been stated until today. So, what does that mean for the forecast? Well, looking at the forecast proper, right now we're still in a particular state of chaotic order. Now, chaotic order is forced change. That's literally what it is. It is a situation where everything has been chosen and has been in a process of trying to right itself, or start a new path, or get in new positions, and it's not taking no for an answer. This is what we chose. The fork at the road has, had its decision made, left or right, and we're going that way. We can't look back, at least not currently. So, chaotic order is very interesting. Looking at the good, or the metaphysical benefits, since everything is being forced into change, but in an orderly fashion, it means that things that need to find an immediate payoff, like things such as Reiki, or things such as alchemy, or even certain types of spells, certain types of druidism and shamanism, not all, but certain types. Anything that requires a point A to point B is going to be very simple and very easy to do. The more convoluted the issue right now, the more difficulty. So the more precise you are, and the more with it as far as what it is that you state, the faster it's going to happen. The less obstacles, the less movements, the less this, that, and the other. It's going to be a lot easier. Now, what else? As far as messages and things like that, messages as far as things like mediumship, or cognizance of some, usually precog, or what people call clairvoyance, or foretelling, whatever it is you want to call it. If messages like that are going to be very direct. Does it necessarily mean that you're going to understand every word? No. Does it mean that it's going to make a whole lot of fucking sense at the time? No. But what it does mean is that you're going to get the message. Like, you may not pick up what's being laid down, but you're going to know it's being laid down. Now, looking at the bad, or the metaphysical issues, of course, since things are in a point where they are being heavily structured, and are in a space where things are moving towards where they should be, trying to buck the system right now is not a great idea. Trying to go against what you chose, being wishy-washy, waffling, that kind of thing, is not going to be a smart idea. If you have already started the process of a spell and you try to end it in the middle of it, you're going to catch a recoil that's going to hurt, be heard around the world. And if you're trying to do any kind of physical work like Reiki or any kind of quantum movements, biometric movements, anything like that, if you're trying to work with somebody on a physical level and you go, well, this isn't the right thing to do, even though I've started it and they've accepted it, it could have some rough going after that. You're going to have to be very careful right now with not finishing what you start. You're going to have to be very careful right now of paying very close attention to what it is that you do. Right now, if it's done with the best of intentions and is moved with the best of intentions, it's going to need to be carried out, whether the end result is going to be awesome or not. So it's something that really needs to be paid attention to. A lot of times people leave shit open-ended, or if it works, it works. Winging a prayer, spray and pray, whatever it is. You can't take that kind of approach right now. Things need to have some structure. Things need that point A to point B. Otherwise, it's just going to explode. It's going to be like a kid with a chemistry set. Be careful of that. Now, looking at the ugly or the mundane. So, everybody wants the forecast for this particular bit, and that's all well and awesome. I covered a lot of it at the very beginning of the forecast, so we're going to put a little bit of a bow on it and go ahead and finish things up. So as far as the ugly or the mundane effects, one of the biggest things that's going to happen right now is people are going to be on their back foot. And what I mean by that is people are going to be taking a very defensive approach to how it is they approach things. So I don't want to say this because it'll start a conflict. Well, how do I say this without looking like an idiot? Well, how do I do these things when, I don't really know how? And how do I ask for help when I've denied it before? And, it's going to be a real slobber knocker of a problem in some people's minds to try and convey things. Saying you're sorry and apologizing is going to be difficult for a lot of people because they don't want to lose whatever it is they feel is some kind of superiority or strength or even equality or standing with certain people, when in fact apologizing is probably the better thing to actually keep those things. Now, this aside, you should never view yourself as superior to anybody, but some people do. The other thing that's going to be happening on the flip of that is everyone is going to be trying to find a new avenue of change. So, reinvention, trying to remove old habits or start new habits or changing a thing about their aesthetics or changing particular types of things that they're going to be open to, trying new things, different types of moves, different types of music, different types of expression. And it's going to be one of those kinds of situations where everybody is going to be trying to figure themselves out. This is going to be very important. If you would like to understand how it is that you can talk to somebody else and make it make sense without coming off like a fucking ass or without them not receiving it, think it through before you say shit. Don't run in with your emotions half cocked. Don't cause issues where there are none. Think it through. Be an adult. It's not difficult. If you can get it righted with yourself, it's a lot easier to explain. Keep in mind, people are going to be in the middle of trying to figure themselves out, not just you. So try not to cause an issue by being an issue. And what I mean by that is, don't give a half-assed answer and expect people to accept it as true. Right now, everybody is honestly supposed to be working on themselves and truthfully doesn't have time for anyone else's shit. Don't cause a problem where there is none. It's going to be a lot easier if we do this shit together. We're coming up on a holiday that's supposed to be about togetherness, supposed to be about celebration, supposed to be about doing it, as a team, being a country, being a people. Might be time to actually consider that. And truthfully, right now it's needed. There's no such thing as a small town anymore. Because people in a small town don't see themselves as a small town. It's just a group of houses, just a group of families that just so happen to live in the same area. There's barely any small towns that actually give a fuck about each other anymore. Because a lot of people don't want to be from a small town. People don't give a fuck about each other in big cities either. They're just faces in a crowd, another number, another, punch card, another fucking person in another car who just so happens to be a fucking asshole in traffic, whether they can control the situation or not. Right now, black, white, red, yellow, doesn't matter. Everybody's at each other's throats. And blue and red, doesn't matter. Everybody's at each other's throats. And literally, it's abysmal. You can blame retrogrades. You can blame the way your upbringing is. You can blame your astrology. You can blame all this shit. But at the end of the day, it starts with you. Now, as I said in the quick word, eventually people are going to run out of shit to blame, and then they're going to be left with themselves, which is going to be a problem. Might be smart to get out of your own ass and your own head and actually start being a cool human being before the world starts to cave in. As far as elements, what we're looking at is, of course, storm. Chaos is usually associated with wind, and order is usually associated with water. So we are literally looking at storm. Storms are tumultuous times. They're very abrupt. They bring very direct and abrupt change, either through flooding, lightning strikes, massive winds, different things. And they change the shape of the world around us. Literally, in a very physical manner, in a very direct manner. But usually, unfortunately, these are things that, one, can't be helped, but two, bring a needed perspective shift or a needed change. Just like with what happens in stormy situations in the mundane, in the spiritual, it does the same. It forces us to actually understand that we're our own worst enemy, our own worst critic, our own biggest issue. And that what we viewed as a problem has literally just been something that we've either A, been in our own way about, B, had a very wrong or shifted perspective about, or C, truthfully, just didn't give a fuck about. And those things need to change. The good news is that during the storm, the obstacles that are currently in the way have a tendency to move. So you can see where your perspectives need to shift and where it is that you need to actually move and change. There's always a rainbow at the end of a storm. The sun always comes out afterward. And there may be a mess to clean up, but we're going to survive. So, that being said, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and remember that those that have the power to change themselves have the power to change the world around themselves. Love y'all.
If you like this video, make sure you check out the Spirit Mechanics YouTube channel, where we have dozens of videos going into various spiritual topics, some music, and we take you on our adventures while we ghost hunt. Don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with every new episode.